Welcome back. This is episode 14 of The Power of Leverage. Damn, 14 already. Mike, can you believe we've been doing this for like 6 months now? It's nuts, man.
Time flies.
I love it. So today I have Mike Bernier. He runs a great brokerage up in Minnesota with his business partner, Long Doan. And they have approximately 500 agents out there, but they run it really well. This smooth, lean machine. And they also have a team in there. And the cool thing about it is they leverage really well. They not only leverage technology, but they leverage talented people. And part of that are VAs that they use to recruit. And that's really what I wanted to talk about, because the very first time I talked to Mike, I wasn't doing it that way. And after I talked to Mike, I was like, damn, that's good. I took a whole bunch of notes. I sent it over to Dave Cullen. You know Dave Cullen, Keller Williams out here. And he's like, you know those two smart guys in Minnesota? Yeah, I go, I know who you're talking about. That's how he references you guys.
That's funny. And Tristan, you probably didn't know this, but we're onboarding between 17 and 22 people a month. We're actually, our roster now is at 645.
Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah. So
when did that happen?
It's overnight. We've just been crushing it. So we've been doing this now for 7 years. We probably hired more than 1,000 and let go of or lost, plenty since then. But our current roster today is 645. And we're shooting for between 900 and 1,000 by the end of the year. We've really ramped up our recruiting.
All right. So what's made the biggest difference? Is it that you streamlined the process? Or is it something else? It is a combo. What is that?
It's a combination, because anytime you're trying to grow and scale a business, what worked for you in the beginning, your greatest strength in the beginning may become your greatest weakness. So for example, if you yourself are taking all of the recruiting meetings, you're going to bottleneck yourself at some point, and that's really what's going to hold you back. What grew you in the beginning will eventually hold you back unless you can scale it. So for us, we had to look at recruiting a couple different ways. We had to break it into sections. What really goes into recruiting? There's a marketing component to it. There's a direct dial component to it to have conversations. There's a recruiting appointment component to it. Yeah. There's actually an influence component to it, because if they don't know who you are, if you don't have the right influence, and you can call all day long, I don't even know who you're calling about. So you have to be visible. There's a visibility component to it. True. And then there's a follow-up. One of the most crucial pieces is a follow-up component. When somebody meets with you, you'd be surprised how many people lose contact very quickly, and that opportunity goes away. So it's almost like any other lead generation tactic. You have to figure out, is somebody ready to buy a house tomorrow? That's a different action plan than somebody that's waiting 6 months before they're going to do something. But it's in that 6-month action plan that there's so much lost opportunity if you don't have systems. So what we've done in recruiting is we put a lot of systems behind that follow-up.
All right, so let's talk about that, because I'm assuming that the follow-up, that system, that process that you have involves VAs. Right?
It does. And I'll tell you, the original outreach involves VA. So if you think of it in a layered approach, we're going to have everything from Facebook marketing going out to the agents. So we're going to collect a group of agents that we feel will align with based on their production and experience. We're going to say, this is our target of 1,000 or 2,000 agents. We're going to have email campaigns in there. We're going to have Facebook retargeting in there. We're going to have stuff on Instagram. We're going to have stuff on YouTube. So, basically, wherever you look, you're going to see our stuff. In fact, this is kind of a funny story. We one time had a recruit that called us, and this is, it just kind of makes me laugh. Maybe you'll get where I'm going with this. He calls us and he says, I was on the toilet today playing solitaire, and there's your retargeting video. Like, everywhere I go, I can't escape you guys. I just need to join you everywhere I look. So basically, it's that omnipresence. We try to create that. So the second piece to it, and this is where the VAs really come in too, because the VAs can help with some of the marketing, but they really come in handy when you've got a great system for VAs to call directly, because that's a lot of labor. It's a labor-intensive job. You got to have somebody making a lot of dials. And I think people overcomplicate and overthink this part, Tristan, because we coach a lot of people. You probably know this too. Long and I are both coaches with Club Wealth, and we've got brokerage coaching clients and large teams that we coach as well. But people struggle with this next piece. They're afraid to put a VA on the calling because they're like, well, we're from Ohio. The VAs doesn't sound like they're from Ohio. They're not going to be well received. And that's absolutely the wrong way to think about it. The fact is, our VA callers are so good at what they do, and we don't overcomplicate the scripting. legitimately, the more complex you make it, because complexity kills growth, it has to be simple. The scripting for us is so easy. It's literally something like, um, hey, so our CEO Long Don is out networking. They're doing a series of networking meetings this week. Is there a time this or next week that we can meet with Long for networking? It's that simple. And people overcomplicate it. They overthink it. What if,
Yeah.
what if I don't say the perfect thing? What if my VA doesn't know exactly what to say? That's okay. It's about the number of touches that VA creates, because there's going to be opportunity in there.
All right, so let's talk about the structure and how you have your VAs outlined here to make sure that they're doing the right task. So I'm going to take you back to when you first hired your first VA for this.
Mm-hmm.
How did that look, and what did you have that one do?
So what we've used is two different systems. We use Broker Metrics, which is a great place to pull names from, and Market View Broker, another place to pull names from. And we had a targeted list of agents, and we thought, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could have somebody doing some outbound, calls to these agents and see if we can get some appointments. So we hired a VA, and sure enough, like any lead generation, you're going to have different smart list of people. You're going to get people that will respond right away and say, yes, I want an appointment. And that's the low hanging fruit. That's what a lot of people are going to gravitate towards, the easy, low hanging fruit, people that are going to come right away and they're eager to meet. But we found that we had some success there, but we were finding all this lost opportunity in the people that were not answering their phones, or they were not interested right now, or even the people that we met with that then didn't join right away. We're like, okay, we need to beef up this part of the system. We need a whole separate bucket here. So what we figured out is we had the bucket of people that want to join right now. Then we had the bucket of I'm interested, but not right now. They either got listings at another brokerage that they got to close out, or a couple pending deals, or whatever it is in their mind that's going to be the obstacle or the problem to solve. They're not joining today. And by the way, I'll give you a little heads up on that. That is the biggest place to fall through in that particular bucket, because you had them interested, but now that you can't really get them to join right away, there's plenty of time for them to just forget all about you. Okay. So that's where the follow-up is extremely important. The third bucket that we really look at is I'm not interested right now, but let's stay in contact. So they're not dismissing you like don't ever call me again. They're just like, yeah, I'm happy where I'm at. Well, we're going to keep them in marketing funnels. We're going to keep reaching out to see at some point if they're going to change their interest level. So, and then we got a fourth bucket. My favorite one is called the delete. We meet with somebody, or they're just completely toxic, or we meet with them and there's no way we're ever going to hire them. That's in the delete bucket. Then we take them off the list. So to answer your question, when we first hired a VA, we didn't have that built out. We just had them start making calls. We developed all this through trial and error. Where can we get more effective? How do we get more people that join or to had an appointment with us to convert to join us? What's our sales cycle? If we meet somebody today, if I met you today as an agent, Tristan, do you come in a day, a month, a week? How soon do we get you to join? We had to start building data on that to get an average, because we know it's about 30 to 60 days on average before somebody joins us. And the higher producing the agent, the longer of a sales cycle that is, because they got more stuff going on.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. All right. Well, on that, so you have these four buckets. The delete one's pretty easy, right?
Yes.
Delete. But do you have a VA handling each of the other three buckets, or how does this work?
So we automate some of it. We've leveraged Happy Grasshopper, Dan Stewart over at Happy Grasshopper, to help us with some really good campaigns to those buckets. So that takes some weight off the VAs. But yes, the VAs are on a regular call follow-up schedule to see if we can get back in front of them. But there's a huge, what you want to leverage a VA for, and this thing is absolutely crucial. It's imperative, actually. If you want to recruit at a high level, you have to have high level onboarding. If you don't have a really high level onboarding system, you're going to have people with nothing but pain points, stress, anxiety. If they're like, I'll join, but there's nothing there to really help them join, or if it's delayed or clunky, you're going to lose steam in your recruiting very quickly.
All right, let's talk about that onboarding and how do your VAs help?
So the VAs help with everything from getting the what do you call it? ICA, the independent contractor agreement over, the policy manual over, how to transfer your license, which association you're going to be with. All these things kind of automate to a point, and the VAs are kind of managing this on the back end. And then of course, when the recruit has questions, well, how do I get my business cards ordered? Or, how do I transfer a listing from my old brokerage to my new brokerage? So the VAs handle 80% of that. If and when somebody has a question or something that they need that the VA can't help with, then it goes to our agent services manager, sort of that onboarder site staff that's going to take it over from there on that project. But back to my point, if you want your recruiting to go on overdrive, and think about this, Tristan, you've got a business you run. If you joined me right now at Realty Group and it was the worst experience of your life to transfer, it was so stressful and you were losing business, your clients were upset, and then you know what's going to happen. People know you in the marketplace. The first thing that'll happen is your phone's going to ring with 55 other agents saying, Tristan, you moved to Realty Group. How was the move? Why'd you go? How's the move? Tell me about it. If the answer out of your mouth is, it sucked, it was the worst thing I've ever done, I'm never moving brokerages again, literally that's going to kill the recruiting effort going forward. So the onboarding is so important. If the message from you is reversed, if it's like, you know what, I've been here for 2 days, I've gotten more help from this brokerage than I ever did from my old broker. I got things from my clients I didn't know I even had before. I'm doing more business right away. Like I've got stuff to do more business than less. I'm so happy. I wish I'd have done this a year ago. That's going to have the opposite effect on recruiting, where people go, well, shoot, I'm thinking about moving too. I want to talk to Realty Group. So onboarding is a place where everybody is like, they're calling that agent that moved and finding out what's going on. And that's rampant. Like you can really ramp up your recruiting if that message is good.
I like that. So how many VAs do you currently have right now?
So we've got basically 2 in the recruiting sector. We've got on the total staff, I think we got 14 total that work with us.
Why do you keep on one-upping me, damn it?
You know, I'm just trying to stay ahead, man. Trying to stay ahead.
Every time I get one, you're like, oh, we have 14 now. I'm like, I just got my 13th one.
Yeah. And you know, the beauty of it too, and this is something we talk about leverage, we're starting to build squad leaders and trainers within our VA staff. So that way they're training other VAs. We're not slowing down to do it. They've got the systems down. We're identifying in our VA staff who's great to train.
All right. So with 14, you said 14?
Yeah, I believe so. It's 14. Yep.
With 14 VAs, do you have 1 or 2 VAs that are heading all of the VAs? How are you split? How do they split up?
So we do, like I said, we've got a really good system to have sort of VA trainers. Like we've got squad leaders, if you want to call it that. Now, on the outbound side of things, we've got our recruiters, which I just mentioned those, but we've also got, you know, ISAs that deal with the leads. We've got, different people that kind of do different outbound. So they all follow kind of a similar process. We've got task heavy, labor heavy VA work that's going to be all checklist driven. That's going to be file auditing and all that kind of stuff, listing entry. There's somebody that kind of heads that, and they train other people coming into that system. So, you know, if you're training your trainers, and you don't have to slow down to do it.
Perfect. Yes, that's what I did. Dude. My trainer's insane.
Yep.
So that saves my life every day.
It does, because think about it. As you, again, what made you strong in the beginning is kind of what kills your growth in the end. Because if you're a great trainer yourself and you've really helped develop people, well, as you start bringing on 1, 2, 3, 5 new people a month into your organization, and the admin or staff side, as you're growing and expanding, you can't slow down to train everybody. And if you try to, then the work you're doing gets completely bogged down or missed. So you have to be able to pass that off and train and leverage that way.
Yeah, I agree. I see that. All right. So let's go back to your 2 that are recruiting.
Yep.
What are their daily job duties? What does that look like?
So think about it, because what you've got, and I shouldn't say that, there's plenty of people in our recruiting department now. There's people that take the recruiting meetings. Then there's those that work as a VA staff that really help set things up, right? So I mean, ultimately what the VAs do is they're going to work with scheduling a lot. Believe it or not, it's a lot like air traffic control. So if we have somebody agree to meet for a recruiting meeting, where's the meeting going to take place? Where in everybody's calendar is it going to fit? Is there a great follow-up process to make sure that that appointment's actually kept? Right. So for example, you know, our VA will remind somebody the morning of, even an hour before, hey, just to remind you, we have a meeting with Long at the Coon Rapids. That's our main headquarters at the Coon Rapids office for 12 o'clock today. Are you still on for that? We're still good for that. We want to get a confirmation and a reminder out there that we still got a meeting, right? So the VA is doing a lot of that air traffic control and making sure that the appointments are kept, that the recruiters themselves are going to be there, that they're prepped for it, that afterwards, as soon as the meeting's done afterwards, now we go into the bucket. Which is it going to be? Are they going to be in the joining right now? Interested but not yet? Hey, not interested, but let's stay in touch, or delete. So they enter into the proper follow-up plan from there.
I like that. All right. So you're telling me that these 2 recruiters are also helping in the preparation. What does that preparation look like? Is it like besides the texting and saying, hey, are you going to show up to the meeting in an hour, right?
Sure.
Are they
So
preparing documents or what does this look like?
yes, because I mean, for example, if an agent's going to meet one of our recruiters, we need to know about that agent. You know, how long they've been in business, what's their production report look like, what are we walking into? You know, so any notes from the conversation that the recruiter had, the VA had, any notes from that conversation, that's going to go in there. The production of the agent that we're meeting is going to go in there. Anything that's going to help us in that meeting is going to get in front of our person doing the recruiting meeting, because it's great when they already know. And look, here's the other thing, anything we can find online. So if you look at it, it's like, I'm going to sit down in a recruiting meeting with you, and I'm asking questions about you, or saying things because I found things about you online. That's a great advantage our recruiters have. So our VAs are helping prep them. You know, if somebody's a part of the Rotary Club or the Lions Club, if somebody loves golf, whatever it is, having that as a talking point so we can talk about it in the meeting is an advantage, because it makes them feel like we've done our research.
Very true. I have a couple of comments from the Facebook side.
Go for it.
Barry Jenkins wants you to know that your top button is undone.
Thanks, Barry. Appreciate that.
And Tim Ray also noticed the same thing.
You know, both of those guys, if they want the same shirt, they're just mad at my shirt. If you want one, I'll send one to you.
Barry says he's just really concerned that you might get a cold. That's all.
I got my heater under my desk. I'm good.
I just had to throw that in there because they're trolling you.
Frickin' Barry.
Of course. All right. So, dude, I'm digging this. So you do all of the recruiting with 2 recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
You also say that you have people meeting them there. Are these people that you've hired to do just specifically interviews every day?
You got to remember, you've got the appointment setter, then you've got the actual recruiter. The recruiter is someone that's going to sit down and take them through the actual recruiting meeting, right?
Is that in person or through Zoom?
It's either or. We usually give them a choice. We try to do a lot of Zooms, but I'm going to tell you, on the higher producing agents, we're probably going to put that more in person whenever we can, if they're comfortable. Of course, we got COVID to worry about and things of that nature. So, but the in-person's great, but it's also less efficient. We can bang out 15, 20 recruiting meetings on Zoom, no problem. But on the in-person, now you have to be at a specific place at a specific time. So what we like to do is try to put those different quadrants of the city we live in. If we're going to be meeting somebody on the west side in a day, we're going to try to cram all the west side appointments into that day. If we're going to be over on the other side, we're going to do all the appointments on the day. So we try to make it where it's a stack, which is also pretty cool, that when one is getting over with, another one's just walking in. So literally, I mean, you got the person working at the coffee shop that knows your order. The new recruit coming in is seeing the last one wrapping up. The person's walking over, oh, Mr. Bernier, you want your regular. I mean, so you look like a regular, kind of a big deal. You got people coming in and out. They know your order. They know who you are. And that sets the stage really well as you're sitting down with the new recruit. They know that you're good at this.
All right. I like that, dude. So now when these agents are meeting with the recruiters in person or through Zoom, how did you supplement yourself for not being there? And at what point are you the one, or is Long the one doing the meeting, that recruiting meeting?
So Long does more recruiting meetings than I do. On the first one, I usually come in after Long. If there's a meeting that we need to close on. For example, we like sort of like the starting pitcher versus the relief for closing pitcher, right? So we kind of rotate that role depending on who originates it. Which is really good to do, because if one person can't get the deal done, then it's great to have your other recruiter be able to jump in for the second meeting, because they may be able to just do something a little differently to get that moving along a little faster. But what we have to do is we have to be able to scale ourselves and keep ourselves in the highest, efficient, effective use of our time in recruiting meetings. So people that are doing the most business are probably going to be meeting with Long and I. People that are running larger teams, higher solo producing agents, people that are doing, 5 to 15 deals a year, will probably meet with one of our junior recruiters. So we save ourselves in our time for the bigger fish, if that makes sense.
Totally, dude, 100%. All right, so let's go into the other VAs that you have that help in the recruiting. So what about the data entry, using the CRM? Mm-hmm. What do those VAs look like on that end to make everything happen on the back end?
So that's exactly what they do. They handle all the calls. And the beauty of it is, our list of calls, it isn't like, when you've got 75,000, leads and follow-up boss that are home buyers or sellers. We're talking about 1 to 2,000 agents in your target marketplace.
Yep.
So you don't have to make, 500 calls a day on a multi-line dialer. Like literally you're probably making 50 to 80 calls a day, and the rest of it's all going to be on the admin side. So what they're doing is they're doing all the data entry. They're running all the campaigns. We use BrokerKit as a recruiting CRM. You can use Follow Up Boss. You can use whatever you want, but they're in there making the notes, setting up the next steps, setting up the calendar and task items. They do all of that, and they're also making the calls. So that way you're not getting too many people involved in this where it gets too complex.
Okay.
One VA can handle a list pretty easily.
If somebody wanted to run this either for recruiting for a team, right, or recruiting for a brokerage, how many would you say is just the right number if you want to continue to grow like you've grown?
Well, I think it comes down to an easy metric would be this, right? Because even if I get enough people that want to meet, I have to have enough people in my onboarding, enough people taking the meeting. So it all has to scale together. So even if I hired, 3 VAs and knocked out 5,000, a list of 5,000 agents I'm going after, I could create another problem if I don't have the other stuff at the back end ready to rock. So you have to know your numbers. How many people can I onboard a month with my current system? How many people can I meet in recruiting meetings with my current system? And how many VAs do I need to accommodate that? There's a correlation with those numbers, right? So personally, you could take a list probably of 1,000 to 2,000 people with the amount of phone calls that will happen with one VA and data entry and follow-up campaigns and scheduling and everything they need to do, and probably run that with 1, maybe 2 recruiters and, probably 2 people in onboarding. That would be about the number.
I like that, dude. All right, I'm taking notes now, because what you just did here is you treated it like online leads. Like, well, yeah, you can buy a whole bunch of online leads, but do you have the agents to work them?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then do you have the support staff to make sure that you can handle the listings and the paperwork and all of that? And then what about
have to tie those things together, because you're going to create your own problem by having too much opportunity with too little on the back end to service it. So it has to scale and grow together. And what you just said is what I want everybody that's listening to hear. This is online leads. It's lead generation. It's just a different lead. It's not a buyer or seller. It's an agent. It's still lead generation though. So you have to treat it as such. There's going to be an attraction piece. Like, why do they want to join you? Whether it's marketing or something that's attracted them to you. There's going to be something that they want that you have to touch on. There's going to be, a process. Either you're going to identify they're ready to do something right now, or it's a nurture process. There's going to have to be things on the back end to help automate some of this stuff. It's the same thing as lead generation.
Got it. All right. So with that, man, what about the VAs that handle any of the concierge level type work? Because now that you have them on there, they're onboarded. These agents are part of your brokerage and part of your team. Mm-hmm. Do you use any VAs to maintain that happiness of the agent?
So there's a combination between site staff and VA. The reason why is because site staff, as you know, and you probably experienced this as a team leader. I love these words, and I'm going to demonstrate with a knock first. Ready for this, Kristen? Here we go.
Go.
You got a minute? That's what site staff hears all the time, because you have agents walking in and it's very reactive, right? We love to have the VAs more on the back end, that they're left alone, that they can just bang through a bunch of work, and that the site staff, the people on site, are there to handle these reactive things. So we try to keep the VAs out of the agents as much as possible. Once you're onboarded, then it's going to be about task management. Again, we need people to audit files, quality control. We need people that are going to help with listing entry, lots of data entry, things with accounting, things that don't touch agents, and they're not interrupted at all day long. So we try to keep the VAs very task oriented, and our site staff very open for reactive stuff to service agents, if that makes sense.
All right. So what would be a great VA to maintain that high level concierge feel to a brokerage or a team?
So I think what you can really do is you can have those VAs, and this is what we do some of, is where the VAs act as almost executive assistants to our site staff. So when the site staff has tasks, like they meet with an agent, the agent needs help with getting, they're onboarded now. They need help getting their printer connected to their laptop. They need help getting business cards ordered. They need help navigating our systems. How do I turn in a file? A lot of that's going to be sitting down with one of the people on site A lot of it's going to be explained in onboarding through the automation process. A lot of it's going to be sitting down on site, but there'll still be tasks that will come from those meetings as an executive assistant to our actual site site staff. That's where the VAs help out a lot. But ultimately, the white glove feel comes more from the site staff than it does from the VAs, because the VAs are doing all the tasks.
Got it. Yeah, I love that combination that you have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good combo. I think, Pavel runs the same thing, and so do I with the 3 businesses that we have. So, dude, let's keep on growing. I'm gonna hire 2 more just to stay ahead of you. I'm gonna be at 15.
I'm gonna see it's only 12:30 here. I'm gonna set up interviews right now. I'm going to 16 by tomorrow. I don't even know what I need them for, but I'm gonna get them on.
I was gonna beat you. That's all,
yeah,
right.
Right.
I love it.
Right, I'd like to impart everybody with this. Like I said, no matter how your system is, like I said, for us, we like to keep our staff really in front of our agents. We like to keep our VAs just labor intensive stuff that that they could just bang out uninterrupted. But you may have a different system. Whatever works for you, go for it. Just make sure that you're not shying away from VAs, especially when you're talking about appointment setting, recruiting, lead generation. They can be involved in parts of all of it, and it helps you grow. And I don't care if they're perfect at it. The fact is, if you're getting appointments, if you're making calls, you're going to be getting appointments that you didn't have without those calls. So drop the hesitancy and just hire some and get on it. Now, I would say too, also, picking the right VA for this, make sure that you pick the right one. You can pick somebody that's totally wrong for it and not have the same results. Interview multiple, ask them the right questions, ask them how they would handle situations, give them a script you'd like them to read, and then see how they read it to you, see how the conversation flows, role play with them right in the interview. I've done this. You want to be able to pick the right one, because they're going to be in conversation with people on your behalf.
Dude, I love that. Thank you for that. Thanks for your time, Mike. That was pretty good, man. So we're probably going to use this and blast it out. If you want a copy of this one, let me know, because you kind of outlined everything succinctly. So
yeah,
great job on this one, man. Thanks for your time, bro.
You bet. See you guys, and see you, Barry. See you, Tim.
They probably want a shirt too. So.
I want to send them one, this exact one.
Thanks, man. Bye.
See ya.